I welcome you all in the name of the 46,000 students of Hillsborough Community College. You did not hear that wrong. It's not 4,600. It's 46 going on 47,000. The 22,000 students that will attend the Mabry Campus this year, our Board of Trustees, and my president, Dr. Ken Atwater, to the opening of the Drs. Patel Allied Health Building at the Mabry Campus. Today is an historic day for all of us, and here is why I say that. The people who are trained in this building will affect everybody in this audience for most of the rest of your lives. Now, if you're just passing through Tampa, you happen to see a tent and came over, and you're leaving today, that's not true. But you know, Tampa is something that gets in your heart. We intend to come here for a couple of years, and 20, 30 years later, we're still here. We've got grandkids. And the people who are trained in this building are the people who will affect the lives of you and your family for the next 50, 60 longer years. The nurses who will be there when your children and grandchildren are born, who will swaddle them, who will take care of you when you're when you have surgeries and you have procedures, who will be there when you're in the nursing home at the end. We don't like to think about that, but we're all going there. Those precious people who are smiling when they've been on their feet for 12-hour shifts are going to be trained in this building. The EMTs who will be there when you're in a panic, when it's the hardest, most difficult day of your life, and say, don't worry, and get you safely to a hospital to be taken care of, are trained in this building. The respiratory therapists who make sure that you're breathing, which is, I don't know to you, but it's kind of important, will be trained in this building. The medical lab people who are those secret detectives who make sure that we're getting the right drugs and that our blood work is where it ought to be. We hate to go see them and get stuck, but we depend on them for our lives. They're all being trained in this building. The people who will keep us alive and happy for the rest of our lives are being trained in this building. So this is not only a nice, lovely building and the most beautiful building we have ever built at Hillsborough Community College. This is the future of our county and the future of those new residents who are drawn here because we have such wonderful health care. So welcome. Thank you all. If I started to name the faces out here that have contributed to this building, we'd be here all day. I see you, and thanks for everything you've done. And let me introduce our college president and my favorite guy, Dr. Ken Atwater.
Alan, I must admit being your favorite is fun. Well, good morning, everyone. You know, this is exciting times. Who would have ever thought that 10, 15, 20 years ago, we'd be standing in front of a facility such as the new Allied Health Building? You know, it's just amazing. Some of you may not know, but this building was on the PICO list for nearly 3 decades, unfunded. And truly through the efforts of nearly all of you that are here, we were able to make this building a reality. So let me say thank you on behalf of those 46,000 students Alan talked about and over 2,000 employees here at HCC, to all of you who've had a hand in making this a reality. We say thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. And I couldn't describe it better than what Alan said. Alan said basically is that this building will probably have an impact on all of our lives. So this morning, as I will say earlier, we pride ourselves on starting on time and being brief, because I know several of you probably have to get back to your full-time job. We're going to do a couple of things this morning. First, we're going to say thank you. We have a short program, and I will now take the opportunity to identify a couple of groups of people that were here with us and truly have been instrumental in helping us establish this building. First and foremost, as my mother and father has always taught me, always introduce your bosses, Ken. And that is our district board of trustees. They give their untiring efforts on a daily basis, uncompensated, to support HCC. Would you hold your applause until I have an opportunity to introduce all of them? First, our board chair, Ms. Betty Villamontes, our vice chair, Mr. Randall Reed. I haven't seen Randall here. Trustee Chip Deal, and Trustee Deepa Shaw, and our student trustee, Richard. Is Richard here? I haven't seen him either. Would you give our board a round of applause? Now I'm going to attempt this, but we have several elected officials here today too. And inevitably, you know what's going to happen. I'm going to miss somebody, right? Isn't that right, Jane? Yeah, it always happens. First and foremost, let me introduce Senator Janet Cruz, and you'll hear more from her later. Again, hold your applause until I get them all, if you don't mind. Also, Tampa Mayor Jane Castor, Hillsborough County Commissioner Ken Hagan, and Commissioner Sandy Merman. Also, Tampa City Councilman Charlie Miranda. Charlie, I know you're here, my brother. I know you are, yes. And also, and I know I'm gonna screw up your name, Guido, and I'm gonna make this excuse beforehand. Guido Maniscalco. How did I do? Huh? Maniscalco, okay. How you do? Okay, I knew I was going to do this. I did this beforehand. And also, let me also introduce Steve Conner. Where are you, Steve? Steve's here. Steve, a school board member. And also one of our former trustees here is Ms. Buckman from Plant City is here and so forth. Would all of you stand? Let's give them a round of applause. You know, I wanted to do this last because, you know, there are times when you have partnerships and relationships with organizations where both organizations thrive. That's a great partnership, isn't it? Let me tell you about the Sheriff Department under Chad's leadership. Chad, I just want you to know it is one of our most valuable partnerships, and we pride ourselves on being a training arm for you to make sure you know that Hillsborough County is a safe and enjoyable place to live. Chad Cronister, the sheriff, too. Mayor, would you come forward and make a few comments?
Thank you, Dr. Atwater. I want to welcome everybody here on this crisp fall morning that we're having. So I'm glad everyone wore a coat, because it's a little brisk, but we'll make this very quick. It is such an honor for me to stand here. HCC has played such an integral part in our community, so it is wonderful to be here at the opening of this facility. But also what it stands for is everything that makes Tampa great, and it's those partnerships that you see. From Dr. K and Dr. P. Patel, and what they have done for the entire community, but specifically for the medical services. Very important, and clearly very important to me, because as was mentioned earlier by Alan, we're all going to be 65, and I'm getting right close to 60, so I'll be needing these nurses, paramedics, and EMTs in short order. But it really is in a growing community. There is such a need for those services, but more so these days because we have a shortage without a doubt. So this building will train so many individuals that are going to be of wonderful value and service to our community. So Dr. K, Dr. P. Patel, we have Senator Janet Cruz, who put the crackdown on the legislators up in Tallahassee and brought back a very large check. Tampa General Hospital, I saw your name in there, see many friends from Tampa General, and I know Chad and I probably have the distinct privilege of having been in Tampa General way too many times as young officers, right? That was my John 7 was my first assignment as a police officer in 1984, and I was in TGH emergency room every single shift, and you guys do amazing work as well. So this is a community effort, and again, it shows what is great, not only about the city of Tampa, the county of Hillsborough, but about our entire Tampa Bay area. So I thank you, Dr. Atwater, for your vision, and I thank everybody who had a hand in this. God bless.
The mayor said it right on, in other words, that this is a great outcome of a collaborative partnership that we've had. And without the support of our major donors, this building would not have been materialized. So let me now recognize some of our major donors. And again, I asked if you'll hold your applause till I've introduced all of our major donors. By far, Dr. K and Dr. P. Patel and their son, Shilin, and who will have a few comments in a minute. Dave Pizzo and Florida Blue, John Kurz and his team from Tampa General, Gary and your team from Suncoast Credit Union, and also Dr. Paul Nagy and his wife, too. If you're here, would you stand? Please join me in thanking them for their support. And before we have comments from our board chair and also from Senator Cruz, let me also say I'd be remiss if I didn't say thank you to the HCC internal team and the Gilbane and Harvard Jolly partnership. Ben, your team, Harvard Jolly, Gilbane, if you are members of that team, please stand up. Let us recognize. Hey people, this building came in under budget by $3 million. It's because they were stand up to be recognized, please. We truly appreciate working with all of you to make this building a reality. Now it's my pleasure to introduce our board chair, Ms. Betty Villamontes.
Good morning. I'm Betty Villamontes, Chair of the HCC Board of Trustees. On behalf of my fellow trustees, Deepa Shah, Chip Deal, Rashad Stubbs, and Randall Reed, I would like to thank you for joining us today. We're extremely proud of what this building represents and the opportunities that will be available to our students because of it. When you think about medical care, you often think about a doctor, but behind each of those doctors is an entire team supporting them to provide patient care. These are the students and programs of HCC: nurses, EMS technicians, respiratory therapists, and medical laboratory technologists. This new building that stands majestically before you has already transformed the campus by providing state-of-the-art, collaborative learning spaces. These spaces will not only enhance the learning environment for our students, but it will better prepare them to apply their skills in real-world settings. As such, this building will also transform the quality of care for our community. We are extremely proud of the team that worked to see this project to fruition. The collaboration and stewardship of the resources that went into the planning, design, and construction represent the best of who we are at HCC. And everyone here played a part. Thank you for being here and for your continued support of Hillsborough Community College.
Thank you, Betty. I knew I would do this, Mayor. I did overlook one donor who's also played a key role in doing this. And truly, let me tell you the story. Each year, the college holds what we call a showcase to showcase what we are doing here in this community. And at the showcase, we'll announce the college's first capital campaign centered around this building. And we had a goal of about $5 million, and we were short of that goal. And I just want you to know this gentleman stepped forward during that showcase to lend his support and say, Ken, we do not want HCC not to meet its goal. And that's Mr. P.C. Patel. P.C., stand up and be recognized for us, please. Yeah. Thank you. For those of us who linger in Tallahassee occasionally, I would say that, and walk the halls, one of the things you realize very quickly is that if you're going to be effective, you've got to have a champion. I am pleased to tell you that Senator Cruz is HCC's champion, not only in Tallahassee, but all the time. She is one of the first graduates of our opticianry program. In addition to that, she has been outstanding in supporting us and is a distinguished alumnus of the college. Yes, you are. So truly, truly, her work and efforts has been tirelessly, and really without her, we would not be standing here today. So Janet, we just want to say thank you and give you an opportunity to say a few words.
Thanks, Dr. Atwater. This is going to sound like an oxymoron, but the first time I met him, I thought, what a dynamic academic. Dr. Atwater came in with all of his excitement, and I shared my excitement for HCC. Having graduated, I won't tell you when, but it was a while ago. And I tell the story, and I'm going to tell it again. If you've heard it, I'm sorry, but it's important to me. But Mayor, the first day of HCC was a morning like this. It was kind of it was a crisp morning, and I was excited, trying to find my way to my class, because I was going to be the first in my family to go to college. I was 16, I think I graduated 16, and I had a daughter that was born when I was a junior in high school. So I was part of this opticianry program, and I was very excited to do this. And at the time, I had a Ford Fairlane, and it had a radiator that was leaking, and I had zero money. And so I would put 2 gallons of water in the back seat. And the 1 gallon would get me to HCC, the car would be overheated, I'd go to class, it would cool off, I'd put the water in. Had the extra gallon in there, so that if I had to stop somewhere, I could do the same. But that went on for 6 months till I saved up enough money to change the radiator. But I was determined as a young mother to go to college anyway. I was determined to go to college and create a different life than what my parents did. My great-grandparents and grandparents worked the cigar factories for 10-hour days. My mom worked in a gypsum plant with a hard hat and steel-toed shoes. So when I look at this building, I see the magnificence of the mortar and the glass. But what I see are the people that are on the corners and the pillars. My great-grandparents, I see my mom, I see other people whose parents or their children are holding up the corners of those so that they could go to class, whether it's in the evening or part-time, or whatever they did so that they can make a difference in their lives. And let me talk a little bit about that difference. A nursing student coming into this program, perhaps right out of high school, maybe working a little bit better than minimum wage, after 2 years, could start at an average annual salary of $45,000. That is enough to take someone like me back then and my family. It was enough to take them out of what I call generational poverty and to live a life where we could have a car that worked and where we could live in a place where everything that we owned wasn't hand-me-downs. It made a big difference. The medical lab scientist program will produce about 25 graduates a year, and this is the first year, but they'll walk out of here, and this is a 2-year program, right, Dr. Atwater? $52,000 a year. That is a significant difference in someone's life. EMTs will make $28,000 a year, paramedics at $45,000 a year. So these are 2-year programs that greatly impact the quality of people's lives. And when I go back and I talk a little bit about those 2 gallons of water, I remember them all the time. I think that I've done something right. My sacrifices were all for these 2 here, Anna and Nikki. Anna and Nikki wave, and let me embarrass you a little bit. They were for them, and I think about that. I think about that Ford Fairlane, and I realize that I made some kind of difference, because now I'm going to embarrass both of them. Because one of them drives a Porsche and the other drives a Range Rover, so we are far away from where I was. So when HCC asked me for my help on this project, I would be remiss if I didn't give credit to my very good friend. We brought $18 million home from the legislature, $18 million of your tax dollars, but it was with the help of my good friend, Speaker Richard Corcoran, who is now the Education Commissioner, that I begged and pleaded, and we worked together, and he helped me with this because he knew how important HCC was, and he knew my story. And so I want to thank Commissioner Corcoran, although he's nowhere here. Someone please tell him that I actually say good things about him, because I do all the time. But when HCC asked me, I immediately knew how important these programs were, the one that changed my lives and changed the lives of my family. I'm so proud to be part of this HCC family and proud that this college is going to continue to give people better lives for so many more generations to come. So thank you for being here. Also, one last comment is, remember HCC's foundation. If you know where you were and you know where you are and you know where you're going, then you need to help someone who was that student who walked in on that fall morning like today. So go see Mr. Shear or go see Lee Lowry and make sure that you remember the foundation. Thank you very much. This is a wonderful day.
I couldn't have said it better, Steve. Where are you, Steve? I know. You appreciate that, huh? Oh, good, 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 good. Again, we want to just say thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you to all of you, because without your help and support, this building would not be a reality. And I think Senator Cruz said it best. This building will change lives for the better. And that's what we pride ourselves on doing at HCC. Now it gives me great pleasure to wrap the program up and ask Dr. Penrose to come for, I'm sorry. Oh, excuse me, I knew I would mess up again. If you don't know, Dr. K and Dr. P. Patel provided the college the largest gift that we've ever received to our foundation in the history of the college. Regrettably, they're out of town and they couldn't be here today, but they sent their substitute, Shillen, their son. We'd like to give him an opportunity to make a few comments on behalf of the Patel family. Shillen?
So I just want to follow up on what everybody else has said, which is thank you to everybody that's here. Thank you to the elected officials, to the school administrators, to all of the great supporters of HCC and everybody who took time to be here today. Just thank you to all of you. I think it just speaks to the level of community in Hillsborough Community College, and thank you all for being here. My background is in business. I'm a business guy, I'm a numbers guy, and so when I see a building like this or a project like this, my mind goes to the metrics, square feet, dollars, head count, all of those types of things. But what we were asked to talk about today on behalf of the family is why we give, and what is the meaning of these gifts, and what is the intent. And so I go to a metric that would never make sense in business, and that is impact across a generation. And I think Senator Cruz, you said it phenomenally well, and I just want to kind of echo that one generation is the distance between my father's parents who grew up in a farming village, made a bold decision to leave what everyone that around them knew, go to Africa, build a new community, and create an environment where their children could make a choice to put their education first and make more bold decisions that brought our family here, that helped to put my parents' name on the building. P.C. Patel, my uncle, my father's brother, all of them are the benefactor of that bold decision made a generation ago. One generation is the distance between my mother's parents, who grew up in pre-independence India, built an upper middle class life where my mom could choose to get a medical degree and make another bold decision, and with my father eventually move here. One generation is the distance for my wife from where she was born in a village in India on the floor of her home to now where, just down the road at Tampa General at a beautiful, amazing maternity ward, we've had 3 kids. So we as a family, we appreciate the distance that can be traveled in a generation. I came to Tampa when I was 2 years old. When you told people where you were from, they said, "Oh, is that near Disney World?" And from there, again, one generation through almost about 40 years of life that now people know Tampa as a dynamic community, as a growing community, a destination, a place where people come and don't ever want to leave. So we appreciate the value and the impact that one generation can make. And I think that my parents' gift, and I think a lot is spoken about our family's wealth and all of that, but I think that our greatest gift and our greatest inheritance is the example and the mindset to think long term, to think beyond the immediate impact and immediate gratification. And so, as we stand here today, and I do want to be brief, I just want to say that, we certainly, there's a lot to celebrate as far as what brought us to this moment, what opened up this beautiful building, what's happened at HCC since our arrival in Tampa, the transformation of the of the college and all of that. And so certainly we want to appreciate this moment right now, but I think that when we look back 25 years from now, 30 years from now, and we see the lives not just that have been improved by the people who graduate from here and go and take care of people in our community, but also the lives of their children who can make bold decisions because of the security that their families have, what that means for our community, what that means for our city, what that means for the world. So thank you guys, thank you everyone. We are so grateful to be a part of this, and congratulations.
How about another round of applause for the Patels and Senator Cruz? Now I'll get back on script, right, Lee? It gives me great pleasure now to ask Dean Pendrose to come forward. This building, I feel like, is his building. He has labored hard and consistently on trying to get this building built. Lee, I'm here to tell you today, look behind you and you'll see that this building is a reality. And Lee will close us out before we go to the ribbon cutting and the unveiling of the sign. Lee.
People say that it's the Penrose building, but it is not. The Patels say this is the Patel building, but it is not. People say that this is the Foundations building, but this is not. This is the building for the students and all those who are coming behind them. Greetings to all of our distinguished guests in the audience and on the platform here. Thank you so much for coming today. Just under 2 years ago, on October 5th, 2017, I received this coaster and this hat at the groundbreaking ceremony for this Allied Health building, and I've used them both many times. This day, like that one, marks the beginning of a new chapter in the story of Allied Health. And 2 years ago, there was dirt and dreams, plans and proposals, ideas and expectations. But that timeline isn't actually really accurate. The dream began years before the fall of 2017. For a decade, the Dale Mabry Campus and the health sciences faculty dreamed and they hoped for a more modern space. Year after year, Dale Mabry Campus President Dr. Robert Chun championed the request for a new Allied Health building. Dr. Chun. As a former Dean of Health Sciences at Hillsborough Community College, Dr. Chun knew firsthand the benefits that a better space would bring. And our current Dale Mabry President, Dr. Alan Witt, has been equally supportive of our mission of training the citizens of Hillsborough County and all of the allied health professions. Back in the spring of 2015, we received news from Eric Johnson. Eric, where are you at? There he is, Eric Johnson, working hard for us. We received news that we were going to receive funding for the design and development of this building. So Assistant Dean Kirsten White had contacted the Florida Department of Education and found out the 10 newest allied health buildings in the state of Florida. So we loaded up the college van with the program managers for the program slated to be in that building and made 3 different road trips. We traveled up to Tallahassee and Gainesville, over to Orlando and Bradenton, down to Fort Myers and Fort Lauderdale. And at each of those 10 locations, we asked the occupants what they liked most, what they disliked, what they would do the same, and what they would change. So when we met with the architects from Harvard Jolly and Kaler Slater, we had a very good idea about what we wanted. We had heard that students needed spaces to collaborate. This building has 7 spaces for students to collaborate in. We heard there was not enough storage. This building has a unique storage area for each program. We heard they were out of room the day they moved in. And this building has some, not a lot, of room to expand. We heard that there were that better classrooms, classes were more flexible. So our 6 general purpose classrooms can be reconfigured in dozens of different arrangements. The tables are all mobile and they nestle. And the teachers' podiums are mobile and the chairs all stack. And we repeatedly heard that the best results came when the end users had more input. We also incorporated things that we had learned from our previous experiences. We learned from our first simulation space to give a dedicated pre-simulation and debrief and conference room for every one of the simulation spaces. We learned to appreciate our Nova desk for the computer labs. We learned that our EMS simulation need to look like spaces where an ambulance crew would go. They go to bedrooms and bathrooms and kitchens and living room spaces and restaurants and offices. And when you tour the building and you look at the EMS simulation, you're going to see that all of those spaces are there. Now, I'm convinced that one of the keys to the success of this building was the collaboration from the end users. The HCC facilities crew of Ben Marshall, Jim Wiggers, and Steve Warren worked before construction, during construction, and now after construction to make sure that we have a building that works for the students. And working with the Gilbane Construction and Thomas Guilford was just an absolute delight. When each space was being planned, we consulted the end users. When it was time to pick floor coverings and wall finishes, the end users had significant input. When it was time to choose $400,000 of furniture, we had the vendors bring their products on the same day in 2 different rooms, let the end users go from room to room and evaluate and choose which ones we used. When we needed to choose $350,000 of mannequins, we did the same thing again with all 3 major mannequin vendors. And the end result is a building that is beautiful, functional, delivered on time, and under budget. Now, that under budget part was not a happy accident. Assistant Dean Kirsten Whited and Senior Staff Assistant Allison Davila spent hundreds of hours carefully evaluating and planning every single chair. Not all the chairs have the same bottoms. They don't have all the same cushions. Every table, every desk, every whiteboard, every shelf. And for every hour that I put into this reviewing the details, Kirsten and Allison have put in 4. And Kirsten White's contribution is so significant and was recognized by others associated with the project that they insisted that her name also be included on the plaque, which is pretty unusual for an assistant dean to have their name on the plaque. This building is serving about 1,000 nursing, respiratory care, paramedic, and EMT students. But during the planning of the phase, we also added the medical lab science program to the offerings at HCC. In partnership with Baycare, we began the MLS program that requires a bachelor's degree. The HCC Medical Lab Science Program is one of just a handful of accredited programs offered at community colleges. The way this works is that instead of us granting the bachelor's degree in the students bring a bachelor's degree in biology or chemistry, we add 16 months more to that, and then they can go out and take the certification examination. For the past 3 years, the MLS program has been sharing space with our good partners at Hillsborough County School District over at Irwin Tech. So the addition of MedLab Science found on the west side of the 3rd floor meant there was no space for the dean's office. So my offices are still over in the technology building, along with the other half of health sciences. This building only serves about half of our division. So beyond the value added to the nursing, EMS, respiratory, and lab students, the learning environment spaces, the space that was vacated in the technology building is being used to house the non-credit offerings, which were formerly at Collaboration Studios. And there's a whole host of new allied health programs, including Health Navigator, created by our public health faculty, and clinical research, which is a collaboration with our partners at Moffitt Cancer Center. Both of those were started in 2018, our first in Florida for any college anywhere in Florida offering those 2 programs. We are repurposing space for the existing sonography and the new cardiovascular sonography program that also started back in 2018. And in the fall of 2020, we'll be bringing 2 more new associate in science degree programs, surgical technology and cardiac catheterization. And both of these programs will be housed in the reconfigured spaces in the technology building. So enough talking, let's cut that ribbon. Let you see inside for yourself what was able to be accomplished when a community collaborates to construct a space for student success. You'll find self-guided tour maps just inside the door. Students from each program are standing by at key locations throughout the building to speak with you about their new learning spaces. And then also, please look for the names of community partners who have significantly added to the funds that the HCC Foundation has available for student scholarships. Their names appear just outside of the spaces that have been sponsored and are on the tour guides. So please move with us to the entrance canopy after the ribbon cutting. Please come inside and see our new building. And I'm going to take off this hat and put on my latest one.